Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, which is a movie that Eric has really been looking forward to.
Yeah.
And that I thought it looked like it had a lot of potential, and I started getting kind of stoked for it the last couple weeks. You read a little bit of the comics leading up to this.
I did. I got, so...
I'm not familiar with this material.
I discovered that the comics are that thing that I love. You know this about me. I don't know if people know this about me.
No, we know you love comics, Eric.
No. It's that thing that I love when I find something that I'm like, oh, this influenced everything. Nothing exists without this thing, but no one knows about it.
Nobody knows about it.
So I got the
first... It's the Lensman thing.
Yeah, it is the Lensman thing. Yeah, Star Wars doesn't exist without Valerian.
How far back does it go?
Early 60s.
Is it 60s?
Early 60s. It's a French comic. I have the first two graphic novels. The film is based on the sixth one, which I wanted to get to, but I didn't. I read the first one and it was okay. I have not yet read the second one. They're time and space agents in the comics. So the first one takes place in the 80s, written in the 60s, takes place in the 80s where New York has been flooded. And it just wasn't that interesting to me, so at some point I'll get back and I'll try more of them as it gets more spacey, but... That
makes me wonder if they were trying to set up that idea for potentially later movies.
They do keep saying time.
Because they say time and space quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Specifically, the species that we meet at the beginning that has the marble things, the orbs. Mm-hmm. They keep talking about time and space.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, Loreline in the comics is, I think, a cave woman, or
really
from the medieval ages. Yeah,
so they yank people out of time periods.
She gets yanked out of time and becomes his partner. But yeah. So
interesting. Well, this is not a movie that is at all concerned whatsoever with origin.
No.
Or I mean, like it's fun. It's amusing that they jumped all the way to the sixth book because they are not scared at all of people not getting this material. Mm. And if you get left in the dust, they do not care. They they will just rush off without you. And I'm not saying that this was an impossible movie to follow or anything.
There was once or twice where I was like, what was that? Oh no, we're past it!
Yeah, they're pretty confident I think with their material.
They are very trusting of their audience.
Yeah. Which is in some ways kind of refreshing, and maybe they take that a little bit too far, but certainly we'll talk about it. But you know, the thing that it reminded me most of, just of things that I've looked at recently, and I don't mean that this is recent, but the tone of this is not this, but as far as like the frantic pacing and the everything but the kitchen sink kind of mentality it has, a little bit of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, it's a little bit of Buckaroo Banzai. Yeah, no, well, not necessarily, but the second you said that, I knew exactly where you were going. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a movie, much like Buckaroo Banzai, this is a movie that does not care if you're watching it.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep going.
And I know you love stuff like that.
I do love the stuff like that, so...
All right, well, do you want to give a real brief plot synopsis? Because I mean, there was a lot of story here. I mean, it's all over the place. But maybe just give us kind of a setup for what the world is.
Valerian and Loreline are...
They're a bunch of years in the future. Is it like 1,000 years in the future, or
500?
Okay.
Yeah, because we made that joke about what's his name being like Rutger Hauer. I guess Rutger Hauer's not in this movie. Let's be 500.
Oh, yeah, well, right, but then there's even a slight time jump after that, but it's not... It's
30 years.
It's only 30 years?
I think it's 30 years.
I couldn't remember if there was one before that. At the beginning of this movie, we jump time a lot, and they have a lot of fun with that, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, we are somewhere between 500 and probably 700 years, because I don't actually know how long that montage goes. I noted 2030, but I don't know how long that montage keeps going.
Well, and there's some mention of 1,000 years, but I don't think... There's a mention toward the end about the worry of rolling society back 1,000 years, but that doesn't mean that that's how far...
Yeah, I think it's just...
we've gone necessarily.
Economic collapse. But anyways,
right.
So Valerian and Loreline are... federal agents, intergalactic federal agents who do things and go on missions.
Yeah.
And they're on a mission. Mm-hmm. And it involves a race on a planet that was destroyed or ended 30 years prior, and it's
a big mystery. Like there's not supposed to be life
happened
on that planet. No one's supposed to know anything about it, and it's that standard, like, it's classified. No one's allowed to know about it, and we don't know why.
And then we go to the City of 1,000 Planets, which is a real cool idea. It is essentially a space station where we all sent up representatives from different nations. We each had our own, like, piece of the space station that connected. And then aliens started coming, and they connected, and it just kept building and building and building until it's like a mega city of people from all over the galaxy. And that's where the majority of the movie takes place. Deep in the core of it is a radioactive zone that no one knows what's going on there, but something bad's going on there. And most of the movie is kind of trying to get there or other things. Would you agree with me? This is plotted like a serial.
Yes.
It's very episodic. It's very, we go here and we do this, and then we go here and we do this, and each thing leads us to the next thing.
It really feels like 8 or 10 issues truncated down, but you're very, and I've said this before with other things, and even recently, I forget what movie, but there was a movie where I was like, this feels like we just took a season of television and put it in a film. But this, like, you can tell where exactly the breaks would be with the episodes. And this is this episode, and this is all the way down to, at one point, one of our heroes gets kidnapped, and the other one has to go rescue that person, and then immediately it's flipped. The very next adventure it's flipped.
Yeah, it felt a lot like a Flash Gordon serial or something like that in its structure.
Yeah,
it's structured as a serialized narrative, not as a one piece. It really feels like binge reading or binge watching.
And they give you that up front.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a sense 2 or 3 episodes in that this is the way this is going to be structured. Until you get to the third act, and then it's more of a standard third act where kind of everything has been leading to this. And I guess if you're talking about like a season of television or serials or something, that's just this is now the culmination.
Finale,
it's where all that has gone. But it is, of course, appropriately, is longer than the rest of it, or at least it felt like it was.
Yeah. It'd be the 2-hour season finale.
Yeah.
But that's,
and arguably you had kind of a 2-hour pilot.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. That opening mission, which serves as both this is the mission our heroes are on before they get to the real mission, and also the beginning of the story. Like, there was a point where I was like, wait, is this movie gonna start? Like, we're still on this mission. And I love it, because I think you could argue this entire movie might just be one chase scene.
Yeah.
But that just keeps going.
Real quick, I was like, is this gonna be one big action scene? And it sort of is.
Yeah, it kind of is. But yeah, that's kind of the plot of the movie.
The city is kind of a cool device because you feel like you've been to like 15 different alien planets by the end, and you haven't. And it's not like Star Wars where you jump to a whole bunch of different planets. But I have to keep reminding myself that we're on one world through a lot of it because we just keep jumping to all these different. And it's sort of like a big, like an actual big city where you have like Chinatown, and then you have this, and then you have like the business district. And
and then like Little Paris.
It's a lot like that.
And then, yeah.
It's sort of like if you actually explored Coruscant.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well, and Coruscant is, that's a thing that I think was taken from Valerian, is that Coruscant is this.
Oh, really?
I think that's one of those things. There's a checklist of all the things that are in Star Wars that appeared in this first, and I think that's one of them. But I might be wrong.
Well, and it even sort of feels like that Celestial Head city from Guardians.
The
Nowhere.
And their ship is very Millennium Falcon-y shaped. Or Millennium Falcon is shaped very much like their ship, because that is what it looks like in the comics.
And this seems like an obvious thing to do, but I'm sure we will have a little bit more Guardians comparison later. I've got to go to that place. But Eric, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you felt about this movie?
All right, I will. I said... This is what I said. This is past me. This is not present me speaking. This is past me from a couple of minutes ago.
Okay. What, have you already changed your...
No.
Your
I'm just being weird.
Okay, this is an appropriate place to do that, Eric.
Well, I'm not always sure what is happening or why. This is the movie I've wanted since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, I adored this movie.
Really?
I loved it. I've spoken to you about this. I believe I've talked about this on the channel. Since I was a kid, I have been chasing a high of Star Wars where, like, there is nothing else like Star Wars. And people keep lying to me and saying that there are things like Star Wars, and they're never like Star Wars. This is exactly what I've been searching for my whole life, of just a real, fun, inventive, unique...
Inventive is the operative word,
space opera thing.
Yeah.
That is genuinely...
With a bunch of wild sci-fi ideas.
That is genuinely fun and fast-paced.
Yeah.
This is what I have wanted for so long. And I feel like the 80s and 90s are full of movies post-Star Wars that try to be this and are never inventive enough or don't have the budget to be. You know, I like Fifth Element. This is the same director as Fifth Element. I like Fifth Element. I'm not saying there are no films that I like that are space operas, but this is the thing I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
In television, film, novels, I've been waiting for something like this. I'm really excited, and I really liked it.
The thing with this movie is...
I have no idea what happened.
It is wild, and... I mean, I have some ideas about...
I mean, I have some...
Yeah.
There are a couple of places where I'm like... Okay, I'll wait for the next episode. I don't know what's happening in this one.
Here's the thing, and I feel like I need some time to really digest this movie because it is sensory overload, and that's what it wants to be. It's just throwing stuff at you constantly. It is. The thing about it is, it's very much in the clouds, but it's grounded enough that it's not completely incoherent. So this is what Jupiter Ascending wished it was.
Well, it feels like a movie not unlike Buckaroo Banzai.
And I was worried it would be Jupiter Ascending, because when we saw the previews, I was like, okay, that looks like it's got a lot of potential, but it could just be that again, where it's incomprehensible nonsense, and more importantly, I don't care about the characters, so I'm not interested in any of the action, because I don't know why I'm supposed to care or be invested, and this movie happily doesn't have that problem.
Much like Buckaroo Banzai, I think this might be a movie where, like, watching this, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of stuff happening, I'm grabbing onto what I can grab onto, but there's so much. I think this is a film that will get better in multiple viewings, as you're able to pay attention more and pick up on more and more things. Because that's what I have with Buckaroo Banzai.
And it also would have been better served as a serialized piece, you know, if you could get this in episodes, but it
would have to be animated.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no way you would have the budget for it, probably. But I admire the ambition of that, and I admire it for not losing me.
This, you know what it feels like?
Now, there will be audiences that this completely loses.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like this is one of those movies that is not for everybody, and it knows it, and it's okay with that. And it is for the people who get it and appreciate it. The thing is, there is some indoctrination into the genre that you have to come into this movie.
Well, if the world's as geeky as we all say it is, that shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, yeah, sort of, kind of, but there are a lot of people who have seen a couple of things and know about stuff, about other things that probably haven't watched enough to really appreciate this. And I don't mean to sound elitist about it. I feel like there are some sci-fi things, and this is true of other genres too. There are fantasy pieces that are over my head because I'm not familiar with that genre.
Sure,
you know what I mean. And I think this might be kind of one of those in the sci-fi realm where
you have to be a sci-fi guy.
It is kind of it requires prerequisite. It's kind of a intermediary thing. This is not the elementary get people in the first place. I feel like for space opera, the first Star Wars movie is kind of a good initiation film. You don't have to have ever seen anything. There is an eyes in that movie. This movie has no eyes in.
No. And I love things like that.
It really doesn't, and it works okay for me, but I would understand audiences that are put off by that. Now, our main characters are human, and we do make it clear that this is the future of the world we live in. But beyond that, they might as well be aliens because they live in a totally different world that isn't remotely recognizable, and I mean not remotely, but it's pretty unrecognizable. But one of the things that's really endearing about that at the same time is all of the things where I'm going, holy crap, that is so nuts and out there, and they are completely nonchalant about it.
The glasses?
Yeah.
The whole virtual world thing at the beginning?
Well, the thing that immediately made me realize, okay, these characters are all going to play this completely straight, and we're not going to be tongue-in-cheek about it at all, because they're not, is, hopefully this isn't giving too much away, but there's a bit toward the beginning where Valerian, this is Dane DeHaan, is receiving a mental transmission from someone out in space, and he talks to the computer about this in the ship, and the computer is explaining to him that he's just gotten like this download from out someplace in space, and his partner is sitting there completely unfazed by this.
And his immediate response is, "Can you track it?"
Yeah, it's not, oh wait, I didn't know such a thing. No, it doesn't even faze them. And then we see things that are way more outrageous than that idea. And that's fantastic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm feeling it. I adored this movie. It's a little frantic. There are certainly places where I'm kind of losing exactly what's going on, and the actual emotional crux is real juvenile. I don't know if that's source material stuff or if that's... I mean, this is the guy that made Fifth Element, which says that the Fifth Element is love. So, like, he's French. This kind of has that. Like this really feels... If this was subtitled, you wouldn't be thinking about this. This is one of those things where, like, it's more operatic. Yeah. It's a very French movie. But we
think we're watching an American film, and so we're holding it to our
It's financed by French people. It's directed and written by a French man. It's based on a French comic. This is a very French film. I'm surprised there's no nudity. But
it wants to go there.
And there's a line that no one...
I mean, there is a lot of eye candy in this movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mean to say that it's a movie like just for men. I don't think it's a sexist film, certainly. But and it works really hard at having a super strong female character. I think sometimes it works too hard at that. But
there's a line that no one out here laughed at because no one could possibly know, but will play great in France, where he says, "I don't speak French."
Yeah.
Because it's a French comic. Ha ha. No, I thought Valerian and Laureline were pretty equal.
Yeah.
As characters, like, this is...
In fact, sometimes I feel like it's more her movie than it is his.
Yeah, because sometimes he drops out of the movie. There's a big section where he drops out of the movie.
It's almost a mistake not to have her name in the title because they are dual protagonists.
And
most assuredly, and I know at least one of the comics has her name in it.
It's about halfway through the series they add her name. So, like, originally it was Valerian, and then it becomes Valerian and Laureline because she does start as more of a sidekick character and upgrades to a lead. It should have been Valerian and Laureline. City of a Thousand Planets.
I don't think so. I think I think that title would be like too long and convoluted. But I just mean for the sake of in selling it, for the sake of the piece, it feels a little bit weird that it's his name and not hers. The thing is, though, before you go see the movie, when you're just looking at previews and stuff, I mean, I think his name comes up a couple times, but if you're not really paying all that much attention, you might not even know that Valerian is the guy's name. Like, it just sounds like the name of a sci-fi thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe Valerian is the City of a Thousand Planets.
The mistake they managed to get away from, the mistake they didn't make, was that John Carter thing. Where you've got to have City of a Thousand Planets in that title so we understand what in the world it is, and we know that it's a bombastic, sci-fi space opera kind of movie, and John Carter, as I have complained about a lot, doesn't have Mars in the title, and that's part of why it didn't make any money. I don't know how this is going to do.
I will say, if this film doesn't do well and get a sequel, I will take it as a personal assault on my character. And a ringing endorsement that we're not living in the geeky world that we say we're living in. This movie is so geeky. It's so science fiction. It's everything this should be.
I think part of the reason it gets made obvious, I mean, this goes without saying, is Guardians makes this kind of thing possibly marketable again, right? And it does a fantastic job at being very funny without being that brand of comedy. It's a very different thing. In fact, it even manages to use a little bit of popular music and not be Guardians.
It's what I want Guardians to be. It's able to be fun and funny without being a comedy.
Sure, but I think there's a place for both of those things.
No, I agree. But
and I'm glad that...
thing that I've been searching for...
that we have one of those things now. I also kind of don't expect it to perform. Like, I'm not sure.
Either,
I'm not sure we can expect more of this kind of thing.
Although it could be one of those movies that's really big everywhere but here.
Sure.
I could see that happening, but I want a bunch of these.
If it fails, it will be a big cult following kind of movie.
Absolutely.
There will be a cult base for this, and it'll show back up in animation or some lower budget Netflix thing or something.
We will hear for a decade about the sequel that might get made. It'll be Dread again.
It'll be Dread again. Yeah. So would you say worst thing is some things about the romance, or do you have another more solid worst thing? I'll come right out and say that that's mine. I'm not entirely sure where I come down on that relationship at the end. Although I think those actors have plenty of chemistry.
I think they're great.
I think they're wonderful. I think and I like Dane DeHaan already. So I mean, I'm ready to root for him. She's marvelous.
No, she's great.
I really like her.
Me too.
She has a speech toward the end. In the script, I'm not sure about her in some places.
But she kind of sells it with her acting.
Yeah, she does.
So much of that is like, I guess I kind of have a filter where I'm like, okay, but it's a French thing. Like,
okay,
it's not really working. But it's, if I was watching a French film, I wouldn't be having these reactions, and it's basically a French film, so it doesn't work. But other than that, I don't know what my worst thing would be. I'm trying to think of something that really jumped out at me as I could have had the actual plot of the story seeded a bit more.
Yeah.
Because when we get to the end, we have that, okay, now let's explain to you what's been going on for the past 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but couldn't you have, like, given me a little bit so, like, I can put it together and you don't have to give me a 10-minute speech about what happened when we finally get there. It's very, I mean, we have a parlor room scene where we just have the detectives tell us exactly what's going on, and that's great. It was a little much at once.
And it feels like it's kind of patting itself on the back for, see, look at all the things we seeded. But you want it to, again, while still giving its audience credit, you want it to telegraph a little bit more that these things are going to matter. Like, I don't trust it up to that point to think that all of the things that I've been seeing are going to add up to something at the end. But, I mean, I've seen that done worse, most certainly. But also, as much as, you know, you're right when you say that it gets that it trusts its audience, but there's one place in particular where it's in a really gimmicky kind of way is trying to hide a piece of information from me that is so entirely callable. I can't believe it. Like, I'm embarrassed for it for doing that.
It's not.
There's a place where, like, it blocks a character because it doesn't want you to know who it is, and then it's like, yeah, of course. Like, I wouldn't have even been wondering about it except you did that.
And you've seen that character before, and they speak in that scene.
Yeah.
Their face is blocked, but they speak.
Yeah, so you know who it is.
You know who it is.
That character also, it's like a villain reveal moment, and that character also wasn't likable anyway. So, like, I'm not remotely surprised.
Other than being who they are.
And there's only 2 people it could be. There's only 2 possibilities in the entire film.
Maybe 3.
3? Okay.
Maybe 3.
Anyway.
There's that commander guy that keeps showing up on TV screens.
There's one thing we know for sure. It can't be Rutger Hauer.
It can't be Rutger Hauer, who's kind of in this movie. He was in the opening credits! Because you went, oh, Rutger Hauer's in this!
I'm so excited. Anyway, just wait. If you haven't seen it yet, just wait.
Yeah. What does your board say?
Oh, all right. Well, this movie made me feel like my brain might just explode. But I really enjoyed it. This is such an entertaining film. I mean, that's a real generic, broad statement to make. You know what this movie is? This movie is Babylon 5 on crack. That's what it is. I adored and I couldn't believe how outlandish and how it was and how it just kept going forever. I adored the opening montage. It's I don't even want to give away what it is, but it's hysterical. And I thought I would get bored with it when it just kept going and going and going, and I was like, this has to stop at some point. And then finally I was just like, no, it's just getting more and more ridiculous, and they do a really great job with that, of putting up front the kind of movie it is. That really sets the tone for the rest of the film.
And the things that you keep seeing are so creative and so inventive, and I
just want to see what the next one is.
And I feel like so many things that we do,
and then they keep giving you even more crazy and outlandish and audacious, things, and especially alien species and stuff. After that, you get like 40 up front, and then all this, these different things after it.
This is kind of the thing.
How many times during this movie did I point at the screen and go, "What the heck is that?"
Yeah. This is the thing.
I loved that. I want to show it to my kid because of that.
Well, and I think it's funny because you said this is.
Now, do you think kids can see this movie?
I absolutely think kids can see this movie. Maybe like 8 and up.
Yeah.
Some peril.
Well, and I mean, there's suggestive stuff, certainly.
There's suggestive stuff, but no more suggestive than in most things that we already show our
and
kids.
maybe even not much more suggestive than Star Wars.
Yeah. Princess Leia.
Does it ever go any farther than the slave bikini?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
The inventiveness in the creature design in this, I think, is something that's been sorely lacking in all science fiction right now.
Yeah.
Star Wars 7.
Well, and that's why I like the
Guardians.
Babylon 5, because this is what it would look like with a budget. Not entirely, but specifically species.
Yeah. And I was so...
And the premise is a little Bab 5-ish.
Yeah. Certainly. The big space station where everyone kind of comes together. The creature designs...
Yeah, and it's all about diplomacy. It's trying to keep those diplomatic relations... and it's really tense and it's hard to do that. And there's just so many different races. And I just love how absurd that gets. Just how many different species
The creature designs are what I feel like everyone acted like Fantastic Beasts had. Well, like, I kept seeing them. I was like, I've never seen anything like that before. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
So you ready for my best thing?
Sure.
And I mean, there are a few things I could have gone to. This is a thing
Is it secret cameos by incredibly famous actors?
No, but okay. So here's a thing that I never thought in a million years I would say in a video. My best thing is Rihanna.
Sure,
she's great.
Absolutely, she's great.
And I was surprised she could act, and her character is so much fun, and I really liked it.
Yeah, she's great. I agree.
I don't even want to give away what that is, but she's a kind of creature that I tend to latch onto a lot in things. And okay, this is going to give it away for anyone, or give away the sort of creature she is.
It's in the trailer.
Is it?
I mean, you see part of the bit where like she takes her hat off and you see her clothes change.
Oh, okay, well then I guess I could. She's a shapeshifter. She is Mardia in Star Trek 6 done much better. Like there's a character in Star Trek 6 that is her. She's way cooler than that.
Cool. No, she was great.
But I like that a lot. But like I said, there's and tied for that maybe second place would be just and the way it's pulled off is marvelous. But just the idea of the alternate dimension that is in the same space that you're in, that you can only look at with special glasses, and that you have to like wear something special to be able to like touch things in it and stuff. We get an interdimensional flea market. Oh my god, that's the coolest thing.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
And we get it right up front. It's real quick. And I mean, like, the movie doesn't lose me by never doing anything as cool as that again. Like, we keep trying to trump it, and it's just, for my, and we do lots of neat things after it, but for my personal interest and taste, that was the coolest thing in the movie.
Well, and there's like rules of like the level of the reality dimension you're on that we play with.
Yeah.
With the box and stuff, and it's so cool.
And it's technically really well done.
Yep.
I will say that there's some hiccupy CG here and there. This is an incredibly ambitious project, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't harp on that too hard. I did, and this is a me thing. This might not have bothered you at all. And this will be a predictable complaint from me for some people. But I questioned whether or not the aliens on the beach planet really needed any CG in their faces, because like they are clearly computer enhanced. And that just felt like a character model that you didn't really need to actually do CG with. It seemed like that could have just been a prosthetic thing. So I questioned that, just because we'll get so many of them on screen together, and there was a point at the beginning of the movie where I kind of sort of had to remind myself I wasn't watching a CG film. And we get away from that as it goes along, but
they're like the aliens in Avatar, but prettier.
Yeah, it's kind of like that,
and more thought out.
Except those I kind of get more why they had to be CG enhanced. Like these I don't really. They're pretty much just bald people.
Well, I like the shimmer thing, and they've got like kind of a translucent thing, like almost like a jellyfish.
Right. But you could do that without the mouth and nose and eyes looking like they're computer generated. I don't understand that. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be computer enhancements. I'm saying, why does it look like why are they mocapped? I don't know why they're mocapped.
I could present a possible explanation in that the only thing that ever looks like a human face is humans, everything else is as alien as we can make it.
Well, that's true.
So maybe that they didn't want it to look like a person
and
painted
I guess
up.
well, that's fair, and I guess they're consistent with it. But it does look like a person painted up, except it's kind of not totally real. But you make you make a good case for it. Because I don't know that there's really any aliens in this that are just straight up prosthetic. I think everything is computer enhanced in some way. I don't know if I'm right about that. I've seen it one time, but
I don't think there's anything that's prosthetic. There might be some things that are live puppets, or like somebody in a suit. But I don't think there's anyone that's just got like prosthetics on their face, kind of.
Yeah, but
like, not
even
Star Trek.
But even then, I think even if you have anything that's like that's like puppetry, I think it's still computer enhanced in some way.
Probably.
But anyway, and like I said, worst thing is potentially some stuff with that relationship. I just want to give that some thought, because there's some things about it that put me off a little bit. But like I said, the performances are fantastic.
Yeah. I liked a lot.
So anyway, yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. I don't think I liked this one quite as well as you did. And I need.
But you didn't go
in
as excited as I did either.
I need more time to noodle it. But it. But like it was certainly loads of fun.
Yeah. That's what I wanted it to be.
Yeah. Well, folks, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you again with another one in probably a couple weeks. I don't know what the next big movie is.
Is it Kingsman?
I think maybe it is. Maybe is that next week, or is that?
No, I don't think it's that close. But I think Kingsman might be the next big one that we would intentionally.
Yeah, I feel like there's something. There's at least one or two things in August too. But anyway, we'll figure it out.
Dark Tower.
Yeah, right, Dark Tower. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you again next time. I am Captain Logan,
and I'm Eric.
Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Valerian and the planet of 1,000 cities. Strike that, reverse
the
it.
City of 1,000
planets. Let's start over. I knew I was going to do that too.
Planet of 1,000 cities isn't that impressive.
No.